my nightmares were no longer about what are we going to do if we lose this customer, but was what are we going to say with these people.
Stéphane Paquet is a serial entrepreneur, CEO and founder of DashAPI, and a two-time Alchemist Accelerator alumnus. He brings over 2 decades of experience in entrepreneurship and technology innovation.
The problem in sales and marketing around CRM is so present that actually decided me to really focus on it and push for it, that almost every company you talk to becomes a lead.
Becomes a
lead.
Lead. Oh my gosh.
That's just...
You will probably market fit.
Just
leading. Hi everyone, today I have a very special guest. It's Stéphane Paquet, who been many times a founder and fully joined Alchemist Accelerator twice, the same accelerator where I also have been to, but this is just a unique case where the person built many times great companies, were selected by top accelerators twice. And I think that today you'll have a great conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, yes. And I would love to discuss your journey and that you will share with us your experience, your knowledge, and your thoughts about first AI. And there's this channel also about AI. And we are here in Silicon Valley, based in San Francisco, recording this podcast. And let's start from a quick introduction. Yes, so it's not just a great founder, but he also a very, very smart person who were in the AI industry since long time ago. I think 3 years or more you were in AI. So he's been a CTO of many startups and companies. And this is how it led him to where he is right now. And he will explain it more. So please, can you share your journey, how you started and what led you to today's company, to where you are right now?
Sure. Well, I think AI and entrepreneurship kind of collided when I was still a student. I was actually in a position where entrepreneurship and AI collided together while I was still a student. We were on what many people were defining as the first wave of AI. That was in the late 90s. We started seeing a lot of new things coming up. Of course, we had Deep Blue before, but Deep Blue for me started pretty chaotic. It's one of brute force, capable of computing a lot of cases ahead of time. That's very different from what AI is, where you're having neural networks capable of statistically learn things and do things in a different way. That said, still at school, we were looking at different opportunities with friends, and I decided to join something which we can define as an entrepreneurship. There were a lot of fusions and acquisition going on in the aerospace market, and the innovation lab by John that was managed by Mantra back then. Ended up merging with aerospace, ended up merging with Airbus. That's how I landed there. But even though it was a huge, big company, we were a team of around 50 people, and we decided to go full on something that was definitely not core business for Airbus. And we created a telecommunication clearinghouse from scratch. There's a long story behind this that we may not have time for today. I'll give it for the next time. But the thing is, when we started that, it gave me the opportunity to be part of the founding team of something completely new that skyrocketed to a $60 million revenue.
$60 million in revenue.
Yeah.
You just founded it. So it's like 0 to 60.
In less than 4 years, and that goes in the early 2000s. So we can say that's probably going to be around $100+ million in today's valuation. So if we look at that, we were extremely small, we were extremely fast compared to our competitors that were implemented the communication carriers.
What's the size of the company?
We were around 40 to 50 people.
40 to 50 people.
So started this
$1 million per good count, right? Crazy.
Especially back then, yeah, it was very intense. A lot of pressure on every part of the company, but it was a good team, and I have very good memories from that time. And I'm still connected with people who are with me there, and that has been a great experience. And at some point over, Airbus was like, "Oh, you guys are a core business, and you need to find an exit because we cannot keep you. We have so many issues delivering our planes, rockets, and everything we're building, that we need to maintain the stock value. So here, it's not core business must be pushed out of the company portfolio." So we managed to do a management buyout, and
Management buyout?
yes, that's the management took the company over. And I decided not to continue the adventure because I was already looking at another one with the CEO of this company. And we started co-founder in North Africa, more precisely in Morocco. And this one was a real entrepreneurship. No safety belts, no VC or whatsoever, fully bootstrapped. Starting with one customer, it me a lot of nightmares at the beginning because you know, Michael, if you lose this customer, whatever you do next. and of course, you land in a country where you know nobody, you don't really know the culture. It's a place where a lot of French people go on vacations, but they don't necessarily stay. And when you're still often have to reconnect and with a thing that was also pretty challenging. But we took it to from zero to more than 600 employees when I left and was after. And the company is going to
600?
Yeah.
From zero. Oh my gosh. I think first estimation of this number is 6. Because it goes up $0 to $60 million, then 0 to 600 employees.
So, and it's still growing, so I know that the company extended to different cities in Morocco, and we are going to celebrate 20 years in business.
Wow.
I'm no longer an operational and I'm executive of this company, but I'm still a shareholder, and I really appreciate what we've done. That has been a complete different experience when it comes to entrepreneurship. The greatest thing I remember from this one is the fact that I met a lot of very young Moroccans who joined the adventure with us early in the process. And I've got the opportunity to see them developing life, getting an apartment, getting a car, getting married, having kids, building families. And most of that is thanks to you building and making this company. So at some point, my nightmares were no longer about what are we going to do if we lose this customer, but was what are we going to say to these people, this customer? Because I was feeling like I was in charge of bringing some development to these families and launching these kids in life. You know, they are adults in charge of families, as I was saying before, and that has been a great experience. Not just developing it from zero again to multi-million-dollar revenue to 600 employees, etc. That's great. It's a great entrepreneur achievement. Mm-hmm. But I think that the vibe and the thank you have from the teams who are working with you when you leave, and they are now in charge and take it over and know that they can fight the ship, and they can drive the ship by themselves. Is great, and the fact that they continued for another decade after I left is just fantastic too.
So thank you so much for sharing that. And I know that you've been in AI attitude for a long time, but it was not AI as it's right now. And I think it was one of the reasons why I started DashAPI, right? Because you wanted to be involved in the current AI stage. And can you tell more about this exact company that you joined with Alchemist as well? And also share with us a bit about what's the previous company and what was the previous experience with Alchemist Accelerator. And what you're building right now and how it's connected to especially AI.
Sure. I mean, the first company was started by a friend of mine called me one morning and he was like, oh, I have a problem with my contacts. And you probably have the same. And the contact team on phone. If you look at your contacts, you have a lot of them, and sometimes a lot of information is not correct because people change their phone numbers, people change their email address and stuff like this. And we started to talk based on that vision that there should be a new version of, I think the name of the company was Plaxo. It was a friend of mine started the company, and that has a two name, and I've always contributed to that. This actually is interesting because Plaxo was saying early 2000 something that was designed to keep in track of your changes and where you go. A much better way to stay in touch with people that you met than what Bing is offering. Because sometimes when you go anywhere, you're receiving requests, you go a little wet. And there is no way for you to keep track of where what really people meet. So we ended up building this, and we had a very specific focus that was connection during in-person events.
A connection during in-person events, right?
That's very important because we do everything, like the product launch run. And we were working a lot with Salesforce and also a few other CRMs, but we're very, very close to marketing teams of a lot of different parties.
Cool.
And we do a very good product launch. And we started proof of concept with a lot of different companies. And the moment we were ready to go on the field for the first time, I think it was with Snowflake, 24 hours, they give us a phone call and like, we're canceling the event.
Oh.
And the reason was COVID was there.
Oh, wow.
So every single customer we managed to find, and my co-founder did a very good job on that, finding all of them and assigning them on the product, ended up in the trash in less than 2 weeks. Because COVID was spread around the world and everybody was confined. So I was like, yeah, okay, that's clearly a lesson. You need to have a product for the next startup, you need to have a product that is resistant to outside things that you cannot control. Sometimes you're understanding an idea as a founder, you're not paying attention to that because everything is fine. The life around him is fine, the world is fine, etc. But things can quickly change, and COVID has been a lesson on that. It completely changed our habits, and still as of today, we can see that we still have things that are inherited from the COVID time. So after COVID, and after we managed to sell this company to another one, we decided to split, and I went my own way. I took a year off to support my wife so she can become CPO at a defense tech company. And the next 2 years, I was like, okay, what should I do? And I went back to looking at what AI was about to be, looking at what OpenAI was doing, looking at what other companies were doing, etc. And I started the company that got me for the second time at the Alchemist as a vision to unify your reportings across different devices.
Mm-hmm.
And AI in that case was mostly used to analyze the information you're receiving in different systems, and especially normalizing it, so you can actually run reports and dashboards for our customers. That's a very interesting thing. There are a lot of companies doing it, and after talking to a couple of mentors at the Alchemist, we took the decision that it was not the right thing to do, because that sounds more like a feature than a product by itself.
Yes.
And the issue with features, they can be replaced by somebody else who is going to have a new feature list nicer, etc. So that's a never-ending story.
Yeah.
And I remember one call one morning with one of the Alchemist mentor named Stefan, and he really called me on that. And I think we had very tense HLs. But that was extremely positive because it triggered me to pivot to become what we are now, which is a CRM. And we like to say customer relationship magic, because we think that CRMs are not well defined as of today, and that the way AI is being used inside of these platforms is not the way it should be. So this is really where we are. Looking forward at developing something that is going to be 100% automation, zero configuration for the user.
Okay.
And all of that thanks to the AI platform that we have as object.
Yeah, it's interesting. My next question would be about how do you see AI right now transforming the whole way how small and medium-sized businesses are operating? Is it changing or is it still the same?
I think that many small businesses are kind of afraid while using AI in a direct way because of data privacy concerns and stuff like this.
Plus, I understand that this is the concern for big enterprises and for medium-sized.
It's actually very interesting, but a lot of the small businesses we've been talking to are very concerned about which AI we are using and stuff like this. You could have much more aware of what's happening in the industry than they used to be. And they are also much more aware that they don't want to share any of their customer data to someone else or with someone else.
I see.
So on the marketing side, it became very obvious that decision makers in many organizations are looking at it this way. Now, what's really interesting is something we were discussing last week at Ratio Fund as part of an Accelerator event. The bottom of the organizations of all sizes is actually massively using AI, because you can just go on there and you swipe your card and you have access to unlimited ChatGPT or Claude or something else. And that has been a big change in the sense that you cannot access commoditized AI. you no longer need to be an AI specialist to start using AI.
Yeah.
You do not need to do extensive training to get some value out. You can get summaries of your own documents. You can get insights, data analysis, reports being generated for you in just a click of a button. Is it always correct? Well, that's the question, too, because we know those models tend to hallucinate sometimes, and it's very interesting to see how they can be very strong and bullshitting. They can speak nonsense in a very affirmative way. So I still feel that there are a lot of issues we need to address, and this is why we are packaging the solution. We are building a DashAPI for marketing and sales teams, so they have to worry about those constraints and those issues because we take care of it for them. So it's very important for the end users to have confidence in the fact that the data is going to be made controlled, confided, that the information that they extract from this commercial effect to be correct, and that they can use to drive their business. I mean, this is really where we shine as a company, managing data acquisition and managing data rendering or analysis without any issues that major prop systems will have because they're not specialists of the field and they don't build up the look back or feedback and analysis that they need in order to correct potential issues in the data analysis.
Okay, so this actually their main misconception go by they didn't want, for example, to sign up for AI, but now you do with that and you solve those problems, right?
Yes, also I like that we solve another problem, which is, and that's very interesting to see that different AI models have different use cases. And some will be extremely good at parsing specific information, others will be better at rendering long results, and so on and so forth. And it's interesting that companies notice, if you are a single user, you don't get it buying through web shortage and high-end.
Yeah.
And that's why. You want to have 1-2 point, and then you want to have the best under the roof that is going to be working for you. That's also something we are offering at service because we package those different models, including internal models in the future that are going to be very narrow, very specific to tasks that you want, making it very effective from cost perspective, but also making it very effective from data analysis and relevant because you have models that are trained already specific data that you have as part of your company.
Okay, so right now they can sign up for just subscription with the basic packages, right? But if they need some additional things, you can offer them customization, like a service-based customization, isn't it? Or
so we manage the data as well. So I think it's very important point to highlight that we control data aggregation from all the different sources of information that they are using. And we are saving it, and we are not, we're just really like a CRM on this respect. We have the database, we have the data lakes to aggregate this information in one place and then run AI on top of it. So it's the one-stop shop solution when it comes to your data management in the data analysis. It's unlike the pure analysis stacks we're discussing before.
yeah, I see. And just a very interesting question is for the founder, right? Who was your first customers and how would you find them?
So that has been a very interesting road. Usually you find them from your network, and very rapidly we actually found design partners and customers outside of our network.
Yes.
The problem in sales and marketing around CRM is so present that that actually decided me to really focus on it and push for it. That almost every company you talk to becomes a lead.
Becomes a
Lead.
lead. Oh my gosh.
That's just...
You will roll in market feet. Just reading.
Yeah, no, that's just crazy. And I've never seen that before. It's the very first time I'm seeing product like this with such a big demand. I think that's we have what explains this from my point of view is we have different things colliding together in a very positive way, creating that huge wave. And then after the previous startup where clearly we started at the wrong time, where we planned telecom as way to shine.
Yes.
and take over our lives. We now have an opportunity which we are surfing in the right time at the right speed, where we have a change in generation. So a new generation is coming into the workforce and developing into the workforce, and they have new expectations that incumbent software solutions cannot fulfill. We have the technology. We have the hardware supporting the software, which is also very important to highlight that AI nowadays works extremely well because not only we have access to great models, but we also have access to great telecom. And if we combine all of these together, there is new demand for new tools are going to revolutionize and change the way we interact with the systems in terms of user interactions, but also what you can do and expectations from the user perspective. We were, as of today, we're still mostly among us, okay, we can define as software as a service.
Yes.
And the definition of software as a service is that you buy your license to be anywhere, which usually it's in the cloud. And you then have to configure your solution to make it work the way you need it. And there is a transition which is extremely interesting, that is service as a software.
Yes.
And that's really where we want to be with DashAPI, because we say it's zero configuration, but 100% automation. We want to make sure that you're not working for your CRM, but your CRM works for you.
In order to do so, you have to customize a bit for each customer, almost for each.
I would say the first goal is to not customize, but let the AI self-customize for the user. Just agents can learn about you, what you expect, what you are working on, and they have the autonomy to start suggesting things, start configuring things for you in such a way that you can actually iterate in a more consistent work. We don't call them agents, actually, I like to call them AI workers.
Yes.
So they really are your co-workers.
Yes.
You can turn to a co-worker and you say, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And in some cases, your co-worker will do things for you without even you having to ask for something.
Because they know the principle, because they know what has to be done.
Yes.
Okay, and here's the question, like this service is a software, right? Not the software.
Service as a software.
Yeah, service is a software. So right now it's performed not by humans but by AI. So it's not needing a customization because customization is done by AI. Let's say workers or agents, right? But before, if any customization is needed, it was done by humans, right?
Yes, and also a lot of previous solutions were requiring a lot of configuration before they can be useful to look on there. I talked to a lot of founders during our second time at the Alchemist, and many of them, I'm not going to mention the CRM, but many of them were complaining, and some of them actually dropped it, and they went back to using it as a spreadsheet.
Why?
Because it's too complicated to get started.
For CRMs. Okay.
They
Say the same, but you just start. So yeah, you just grade that. Even like the HubSpot, but I remember like 2 years ago, it was much obligated than it's right now. For example, they simplify somehow the workflow because they realize that for early stage companies, especially for their go-to-market strategy to go after the startups, which are only started the journey, it was very hard for startups because you have to invest so much time.
So, this is the case. I've seen a lot of founders who are investing time or money. I think someone else configuring and you then so I can continue.
I believe Salesforce even more complicated because HubSpot for something that is tend to be for more early stage companies. I don't know what is going on Salesforce side, but I mean that's what the question for early stage companies or for small businesses.
So success for similar where in a way that so many things you can do. It's they are defining themselves as a CRM. I see them as a platform, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but eventually then the flexibility you have can rapidly transform into something that is going to put you in a corner. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're rapidly building a solution that is just going to be good for you and that you cannot plug anything else on top of that solution. I talked to a lot of people who are developing, and I was myself a Salesforce ISV prior to the DashAPI. And I talked to a lot of founders who are trying to build things on top of Salesforce, and they rapidly understood that, one customer is coding things that way in the system, but another one is not following Salesforce guidelines and they do something different for the same purpose. So eventually the idea of I can build a plugin on top is a problem because then you have to go for each and single customer and do individual configuration of your solution on top of what they have.
I see. Yeah, and they done that. So
I'm sorry,
specific, like even ecosystem of businesses who are helping to customize your Salesforce like CRM for specific business. And
it is going to be very interesting to see how things are going to evolve and how the market is going to react, because with that announcement from Salesforce showing that they want to bring agents, they want to break some of this model where you have partners coming up and doing configuration for you. But I don't know what these partners are going to be doing then, and other way they're going to be liking it or not. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things are going to evolve in that respect, and if it's going to affect Salesforce revenue as well, because then are the market going to be support you of the change, or the market going to question the change, and slash and be that's the right. I don't know. It's a very interesting time, because this migration from software as a service to service as a software is placing incumbent providers such as Salesforce into a challenging position. And that gives an opportunity for a lot of companies like DashAPI to take over the market and bring a change in a way that is very strong and that nothing else could have done before. We saw that HubSpot did an extremely good job in that space in developing, software as a service, but the cars are being rushed for now. I mean, the World Deck is going to be brand new. So what they've done in the past years is now also being challenged by the companies. DashAPI.
Yeah. Interesting. And you think twice a founder at Alchemist. We already mentioned about times. And many times as a founder, right? What you learned for this journey? What is about building and scaling startup? There is any blueprint in your opinion? There is any steps that everyone can follow, and they for sure will build the right track skill.
There are characteristics and there are also things that are always evolving. Two characteristics for founders: perseverance, curiosity, and focus. Really are the key words for the team. For you as a founder, Now, when it comes to launching the business itself, it's very complicated to say that there is something like a blueprint, because technologies are evolving, expectations are evolving. A few years ago, everybody was saying, "Oh, you have to be spending money on Google Ads."
Yeah.
Things about spend more money on Instagram, spend more money on TikTok. Spend more money on building communities and have people gather around you on maybe WhatsApp or telecom channels. These are things that are briefing you. And as I was highlighting before, in some industries, there's a big change in who is in power.
Who is in power?
And we see younger people get charge of sales and marketing at bigger and bigger organizations. And that actually drives new expectations, because they just lack cottage in some cases, and they were used to have those very quick apps like TikTok, etc. And they expect the same interactions with their corporate tools.
Yeah.
But today, that's still not what they have. But the day you can provide them something which is very close to their expectations in terms of user interactions with the nation, then you can actually make it. Maybe if I have to say something around that, I would say that it's a constant over time is listen to your customers, understand what they want, and to learn develop the solution for yourself. And this is something I learned when I...
So not?
No, to build it for yourself. I mean, you can be a user.
This is actually very common suggestion from many accelerators and incubators. They say, you have to solve your all problem. Sometimes it's right, but sometimes you don't. If you're solving for yourself, then it might be that only you will be a user.
That's not what I'm saying. I would agree that it's better when you're solving a problem that you understand, but do not build the product the way you expect it to be.
Okay.
When it comes to user interface, for example, which is the most important thing when you're developing a SaaS solution, you want that to be appealing to your users, not necessarily to you.
Okay.
There are generation gaps, and you've been, especially in my case, been trained or using Windows for many years. So yeah, sometimes let's just go click. It's much easier for me. Now, what I understand is that younger people were coming in and this is maybe challenging for them. And it works on different level, something which is more intuitive than doing in a specific menu to do a specific task. And that's what I'm saying when I'm virtually, that you want to build a product not for you, but for your users, where you need to listen to what they really, really want, because these generation that is not in the workplace is going to be here for the next 20 years, 30 years. And they are going to be the ones in a position, in a decision-making position when it comes to acquire a solution or not.
Yes.
So if you show up the platform that is built for you or you run errands, it's clearly not going to be attractive to them.
Yeah, sure.
And some of the customers who are meaning actually joining us because of that new design that we are providing. You don't need to be a specialist. You need to be an AI specialist. You don't need to be a body specialist. And more importantly, you don't need to be an IT or computer science specialist. You just show up, you ask your questions in natural language. You ask for the configuration in natural language, and the system will do it for you.
Yeah, that's perfect. But here, I have something to add, because, for example, from my past startup, we've done one experiment. For example, we used to explain to users how to use these things. And I remember once I just asked the user to use it, and I opened my laptop, give them this website, and ask to do something. And I stay sad. It was a very awkward moment, for both of us. But I just took the courage. I stayed silent and that's it. It's do whatever you would like to do, and that's it. Of course, because I was observing the person trying more harder to find where is the button, where is the next step. But I just realized, okay, if they just already don't understand what have to do for the first step, it already means that we are doing something wrong. Not with the product, but with the workflow, with user flow, And for me, it was insanely great moment to find so many friction points. Because, for example, if I were not next to this person, then this person just will close the web and that's it.
It's a very good illustration of the fact that you need to not see the world with your own eyes, but also the eyes of your users. They are the ones who are going to be using your product. So looking at what they do, what they want, having a whole conversations with them is very fun. You also find out that sometimes they are using your product and they do something else that you cannot expect. It can change a feature to something else. And that's something which is great. But also you're like, okay, I didn't design this for that.
And if you're thinking that this is good, because another thing is how to find a killing feature, and sometimes this killing feature for different companies could be different feature, right? And you have to understand what your players struggle. And this is one feature. So you're ready to pay the full subscription wherever fee just to have the access to this specific feature.
But it's very interesting because also as a founder, sometimes you're looking at it and you have to deal with that frustration of that was not the intent of that feature.
Also, to use it correctly, you just have to follow how they use it and help to where improves that side, where the most of usage is come from. Yes, it's a very interesting journey, and the most powerful thing is to learn how to listen or to follow people, not just trials, push and meet and guides. It's what you can do in your own company with your employees or wherever, but that's not what you have to do with users. And that's
You can drive to a certain extent, but and Apple, for example, is a very new company that drives user experience. So they still have the Steve Jobs vision of I know better than you what you need. But still, we see that they know how to flex on certain items.
Yeah.
So that users don't get frustrated too much.
Yes.
And they maintain that closed-source innovation server, which is very specific to what they are doing. And actually, it's where, as a founder, you need to understand how much you can introduce to solve the world problems according to what you know of the technology, and bring in the visualization and stuff like this to make people understand, oh, we can do that. And also make sure that they can use the film the way they want it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so that's interesting. And the next question is, of course, you received a lot of advice, right? And what was one piece of advice which you've received and which helped you the most?
That's a great question. So I've been multiple times founders, but something we didn't speak before is, we didn't mention before, sorry, is the fact that previously I was more on the tech side. I was a tech founder.
Yeah.
And now I'm the CEO founder.
Yeah, it's different.
So it's very different. So I think that's some of the advice we got from people, and it's a little bit challenging for me sometimes to apply those advices, is to be a little more aggressive in a positive way. Especially when you're talking to investors and customers.
So as an CEO, you would like to say exactly as is? Yeah. Whatever. My boss it's not unbelievable stuff because pay even though is not selling this.
So sometimes we need to show up and be a little bit more aggressive against your competition that you would be as a CTO. And same when you're at conversations, because you have much more conversation with the CEO than CTO with potential investors and existing investors and board in your company. So it's very interesting to learn on how to communicate with these different people, and that communication changes depending on where you are in the company. And definitely, yeah, CEO and sales are completely different from what I was doing in the pro as a CBO. Yeah, but it's a product.
Yeah, it's just like something what I realized the different characters between these two types of people who are the best for the role of CTO, who are the best for the role of CEO. And it's great when you have the founder mentioned, but it's also very important to distinguish the roles and their strong sides, right? And yeah, it's not either play.
Like I can give the reason why I decided not to be the technical co-founder on this one, because I had a vision of what I really wanted the product to be. And that might be actually a very good piece of advice, because I've seen a lot of founders, especially our cohort, had a few experiences in negative way, where they had a vision of what true solutions should be, and they hired owners to either see.
They hired.
Yes, they put the person in charge, and they say, "Okay, you're my co-founder, very CEO." I do think that when you carry the vision, even if you don't think that, or even if you feel that the CEO jacket is a little bit too wide for you, you still need to wear it when it's early on in the process. You cannot be either someone else in charge of your vision. That doesn't work.
Because you cannot explain. Yeah, you cannot envision that vision just by there's someone that's saying.
The moment you're transferring forward to someone else, you also need to agree on the fact that this person will have different background, different vision of the role, and will do things in a different way than what you would have done. So it's no longer your vision. So when you're very strict about what your visioning is for a product and say, become the CEO, take the lead, don't be afraid of having it, you can learn. You've been running way more typical of me. You did things as an engineer, so I think you can handle those. And that actually will make a difference between a very average to a very successful startup, because you carry the vision. And I think people are very interested in talking to the ones who are carry the vision, who have a good understanding of the problems, can also carry something and say, hey, this is how we do it now, and this is my vision on how they're doing it. And people understand that much better than when you're giving that thought to somebody who is just, okay, I'm the CEO, but I have a different vision about the problem, so I have a different vision of the solution as well. And then when you go talk to customers, it's just diverging and splitting tension in the startup and in your organization, and very often that's going to lead to a collapse.
Yeah, that's interesting. The last but not least question is, as founder, what keeps you staying motivated and resilient on the founders and startup journey? Because it's very hard, I know.
Yeah, it's very hard. You get no's every day. You know a lot less. Because sometimes investors, even if you explain the story and they understand that there is a problem, etc., they may not completely join you. And I've been told the story of Uber, who actually initially had a lot of issues raising funds, because that was the same thing. They were It was a great idea, but people were very interrogated about, okay, it's a regulated market, everything. So.
Some people care it has to be first. You walk upon the yes, and maybe then at least then on the first one. The first one is the hardest.
So the first one is hardest, and when you say that, we make parentheses. When I was working for this telecommunication clearinghouse, I remember one meeting in Belgium, and we have this CEO from the Belgian telecom provider, and she was from Canada. She was extremely nice. And we were having this conversation, and she's like, yeah, it's just like in a buying. You want to know who's going to be the first to dancing on the table? So that was interesting because dancing on the table, I was like, okay, why on the table? Why not on the dance floor? Maybe let's make things easier. That was really a little bit
of the feelings.
But that's exactly the point you're mentioning. So we did the first one, and my personal visual of that is it's more like when you're biking, the first meters on the bike are the toughest ones because you need to put a lot of energy. You have a lot of things to do to keep the balance, especially when you're very puppy, which is what we do as entrepreneurs and startups. We clearly are starting a bike uphill with no assistance. It's that's the motivation. I think one of the reasons why is also when you have a strong roots. In my case, 3 kids. So I thought it's a good motivation. They to transmit the spirit of entrepreneurship that they understand is that easy, but you keep on fighting, and if you put some hard work in something, then you have a result. You may not exactly be what you expect. You may not end up being a billionaire, but you end up doing something, and you probably will have a change in a lot of people's life at the end of the day. So yeah, that's a very good motivation for me to keep on the fight every day. Yeah.
Your kids and your handwork, right? This is great inspiration for sure. So thank you so much for this very great and honest conversation. Love your insights. Yeah. Tell us, please, how people can find DashAPI and how they can register or try, because also people from sales and marketing can be watching us.
True. So they can go to the website, DashAPI. We have forms. There they can register for, we are going to be on our pre-release. We are onboarding our first users early next year. So things have been a little bit shifting because when you're on a small boat and when you're putting your attention on the engineering, then you're not raising fund. When you're raising fund, you put attention on the engineering. There is a balance default, but definitely if people want to connect and they want to share feedback, information, but they would like to see the product, they can do it. And they can also connect with me on DashAPI.
We will leave on the information in the comments, and I know that today is your launch day, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's Alchemist Accelerator. So good luck. See, lots of investors, users that found today. Yeah, and thank you so much for this great conversation. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Yeah.